Hello, 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 world. It's so funny to click a button and then wait, is it live? Is it not live? Is it live? It's live. How does it get even better than that? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good wherever you are, and whatever it is, good dry day, good wet day, good everything. How does it get even better than that? My name is Rachel Silber, and I'm an access consciousness, amongst many other things, yeah. I'm an access consciousness facilitator, also a mom, also, fellow crazy person, and just enjoyer of life and living. And I'd like to speak about something that's come up several times in the last few days. So a few people have reached out to me asking me, what is it that's a bit different in the way I see things, or the way I parent, or the way I hang out with the cats, or whatever it is. What is it that's a bit different? Specifically, yay! Specifically, based on the last couple of people reaching out, they were asking about problems. They'd heard lives where I've said that I was diagnosed, I was medicated, I was all sorts of things. It was actually really interesting because I came across traditional therapy. And I will say, I'm an access consciousness facilitator. I'm a person who's lived on this planet. I have survived childhood. I am, a parent and other things. I am not a trained psychologist. Hi, Glenn. I'm not a trained psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. Obviously, take anything and everything that I say with a grain of salt. And even if somebody is a trained therapist, psychologist, psychiatrist or anything, take what they say with a grain of salt. One thing that has been so true for me for ages is to trust myself and to trust my knowing. What is it that I know here? What is it that I can choose that's different? What is it that I'm aware of here? Now, I never called it awareness growing up. I could have sworn, left, right, center, up and down, that I am not aware. And yet, I was diagnosed as bipolar. I was diagnosed as depressed. And later on, I found out that it was awareness and gratitude. It wasn't actually depression in the traditional sense. So what was going on in my world? This is my personal world. So know what's true for you. What's true for you will always make you feel lighter. Whenever you hear anything that's a truth, you'll perceive in your world a spaciousness and easing, and that's almost like, that expansiveness. That's the truth for you. And you can use that as a guide, as your kind of beep, 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 yes, no kind of radar for the world, you could say. So you'll be able to perceive what's true for you, what's going to work for you, what's going to create greater for you. And a lot of times what other experts or what other people, including me, say may not be applicable for you. So please know that you know. This is about empowering you to know that you know. And that's why I love the access consciousness tools. They gave me back, because I definitely grew up around people, and not only around people, but in different situations where all the power, all the knowing, all the everything about life and living was put outside of me. So somebody else, like the M deity in the white coat, would know better. Or my ex-husband or his family, or even my current husband, would know better. Some expert or someone who's better trained or who, whatever, would know more about me than me. And that's where I became really, really empowered with the tools of access consciousness to fuss with my hair, to really begin to tune in. Now, this wasn't a right away process. I'm going to say this is still an unfolding. I was speaking with a friend earlier today. We were doing a session, and one of the things that I said, it's really interesting, because it isn't about I be me, being me, changing the world. I'm being me. Look at that. I'm being me. No, it's this adventure and this melting in this process, this adventure, this unfolding, this amazing process of becoming. It isn't so much being as in I got there. It is the adventure of being, which is this becoming. It's this beautiful spaciousness, for lack of a better word. I'm not even sure what to call it, but it's this spaciousness of experience, of possibilities, of different ways of looking at things. It is not a being, doing, having kind of an energy. Now, I was on a Zoom, I guess, a couple of weekends, or no, a few days ago, last weekend, I suppose. And there were so many different people on that Zoom who were speaking about their problems. Now, I've had my fair share. I think we all have had our fair share of difficulties if we live on this planet and if we've bought the point of view that this reality is real. And yes, it is reality, but what is reality really? Reality is two or more people aligning and agreeing on a point of view. Now, do you get that? Do you get how amazing it is to have that information? If there are two or more people that are aligning and agreeing with a point of view, they're sustaining that. They are holding that in place. And only when one is willing to let go, right, this can begin to shift and change. And who knows, maybe with enough people letting go of different points of view and perspectives and, the labels of problems, etc., everything could be let go of. And then this thing that they say is so real and true may not be so real and true. So first of all, I'm just going to reiterate, I am a certified facilitator of access consciousness. Access consciousness is not about healing. It is about getting you to know that you know. And that's the greatest gift for me with access consciousness, is that I got to find out that I actually know, that I actually am aware, and that I can make choices that work for me. Hi, Marianela. And that's the gift. It's the gift of this amazing, deep, profound knowing. And this has been, I will never say that I know. As the more that I'm learning, the more that I'm becoming, the more that I'm unfolding, the more that I'm being, right? The more I realize how much more there is there. The more I recognize, how much more is available than I've ever even imagined. So to me, it's kind of funny when people say, "Oh, I got this consciousness thing," or "I got this, whatever this thing is. Oh yeah, I'm so aware I got this." No, you're getting this. There's a lot going on that's much deeper than meets the eye. And so with these few people who've reached out, they reached out specifically because they knew that I'd had my ups and downs as well in life, as we all have. And they asked me about their kids. And I was actually, first of all, really touched and really honored. And secondly, I tapped into the universe of the kids and perceived a greater gift and a greater awareness than even the parents may have realized or recognized. As we tend to see things as thoughts, we tend to see things as this is the way it is. But let me go back. I saw something. I was forwarding something to a friend, and let me find it. Hang on a quick second. I just opened my WhatsApp browser on here. Maybe this is taking it a bit. I'll do it over here. That'll be easier. We have phones for a reason. Here we go. So this is specifically about thoughts. So when we're in a situation and there's someone around us that's been defined as having a problem, even if it's us that's been pointed at and said that this is a problem or there is a problem, every thought that something is a problem solidifies it into existence. It shuts it down as if that's the only thing that's possible. just seeing that as a problem. Now, when you're willing to look at something beyond face value, beyond what looks like a problem or what looks solid, there are other things that are available. So I love this. This is from the reference materials of access, and I'm just going to read a little snippet. Whenever you think, and Gary always says, thinking is stinking. Whenever you think, all you do is solidify into existence what eliminates your capacity to perceive, know, be, and receive. Now, I'm going to stop. I'm going to take a step back and say something that some people may take. Some people may just go, oh, this is a little strange. But what if we're so much more than just, this being, this life, this body? What if there's so much more to us than meets the eye? Now, the thing is, if that's the case, if we are truly infinite beings, because do you end, and does your awareness end at the outside edges of your body? Not so much. It is amazing what can be aware of if we allow ourselves to expand and to become aware of other things that are going on around us. Now, if you don't believe me, just tune in. Yesterday, we had the elections in the United States. And today, there's still no ballots being counted. There is anxiety level out the wazoo. The country is almost divided down the line in terms of this position or that position. And we're aware of it. We're aware of all of it. It's pinging in our world, and we say, oh, no, we're not aware. As an infinite being, you are far more aware than you realize. And I did say infinite. That is, it's not like you end at your body. This is my circle of influence, and that's it. Not true. You can perceive way, 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 way out there. And that's one of our capacities, this perceiving, knowing, being, and receiving. And if you want to delve more into that, there are phenomenal foundation classes happening all around the world, at least for the next couple of weeks. They're available online. But if not, get your butt to an amazing facilitator from Access Consciousness. There are so many amazing ones that can contribute to you noticing that your life is more than you've realized. Now, if you look at this, let me go back to that. Whenever you think, and in this reality, you've been trained to think, or you've been trained to buy somebody else's thoughts. So some expert, however well-meaning they may be, will give you some information about your child or about you or about some situation and say, this is what it is. In the case of one of my kids, I was told he'd have to be medicated because he was ADD. I said, he's a gift and I'm not willing to medicate him. I'd like for you to actually begin to see that his difference is a gift and not a wrongness. And no, I refuse to medicate. So we were sent to therapy for a while, for a few months, and it was really a gift because I was also in a growing process. It was amazing. I was in, with all of these points of views that I'd have to prove or that I'd have to fight the system or that, no. I just had to be present with what is. So whenever we're thinking or we're buying somebody else's thoughts, we solidify that into existence. In order to solidify anything, we have to be buying some sort of lie. We have to take that, remember that thing that I was showing before? We have to align and agree or resist and react. That's how we solidify alignment or agreement or resistance and reaction. We align or agree, resist and react, and therefore we solidify something. It becomes the thing that is. It becomes the problem. What we could do, even in terms of like 10,000 thoughts at a time. Where do you think my kid got ADD from? One of the things like that's going on in the elections, or when you look at different people's posts, there's a lot of angst and pulling, like, what if it's this? And what if it's that? And what's going to happen in the state of the world? And, with the coronavirus and everything else that's going on. It's fascinating that we do so much aligning and agreeing or resisting and reacting. And we don't even realize that that's exactly how we solidify something, how we stick something and maintain it in existence, rather than saying, oh, what space can I be here? What expansion can I be that will change this? As infinite beings, we are energy, we are space, and we are consciousness. And my friend Sharona, and I will repeat this as long as it takes to get people to hear this, I love that in Hebrew, energy, space, and consciousness, energia, merchav, and toda'ah, are exactly the truth of you. Those are the acronyms for the word emet. Emet being truth. Your truth is energy, is space, and is consciousness. Do you notice any contraction in that? Do you notice only the presentation of you as you look and act and, fit into this reality in this particular lifetime in that? No. Energy, space, and consciousness are not grabbable. They're not holdable. They're not containable as energy, space, and consciousness. However, if you see yourself or your loved ones or the situation as less than the truth of them, as less than energy, space, and consciousness, well, then you're sticking a definition and a problem and a situation on them. And then sure as heck, you're going to have things that are there to be resolved. You're going to have things that are there to be gotten over. You're going to have obstacles that are in your way, because that's what happens when we contract. The truth of you, that energy, space, and consciousness, is lightness. And if you go take an Access Consciousness bars class, and they're amazing. Let's see if I have a bars banner. I don't know if I have a bars banner, but you can find a bars practitioner, facilitator, and accessconsciousness.com and look that up. But even in the bars class, we say the lightness, what gives you a sense of lightness, that expansiveness, that's the truth of you. And if you choose more things that are that lightness, you will find more and more of you, that becoming, that spacing, that enjoying, that non-reaction to every single thing that's going on. That's no aligning and agreeing or resisting and reacting. It's just being you. And being you opens up an entirely different space. Being you, being the truth of you, energy, space, and consciousness, you have some capacities. Yeah, you can perceive everything. Because energy isn't just right here. I mean, everything is energy. So I can perceive things that maybe, on the other side of the mountain. I can maybe even perceive the mountain over there, or perceive what's going on in the earth through my body, through all sorts of things. I can perceive what's going on for other people. I remember my kid being in school in 5th grade, taking an exam, and he did so much better than most of the other kids in school because they had to take the test all at once, perceiving one another's universe. But he was absent that day. It was a Jewish holiday, and they decided to give a test on that day anyway. So he had to do a make test. They didn't tell him when. It was the day he got back to school, and it was like, okay, lunchtime, you stay in, and you have to do the test. His grade was much higher, even though he had no clue that he would have to take the test that day. But why? Because he didn't tap into all the universe of, and this is going to be bad, and I don't know, and all this other stuff. No, he just tapped into what he knew. And so he had ease with it. But look at that. We are much more aware than we've ever realized. And what we as infinite beings, being energy, space, and consciousness, what we be, right? We perceive, we know, we be, and we receive. Okay? So whenever you think, thinking is stinking. Whenever you think, all you do is solidify into existence what eliminates your capacity to perceive, know, be, and receive. Okay? You are literally taking yourself out of being the infinite spaciousness that can open up all sorts of possibilities, and you limit yourself to a thought or a feeling or an emotion, and you stick yourself only in that. It's fascinating. Each and every thought you have can cost you $1 in income per year. Try counting your thoughts and see how many you have per day. Okay. Now, in this conversation, he's speaking about money. In the conversation of what these ladies were reaching out with their kids, it was about their kids. Every single thought we have about our kids, about how we're told that they have to do something in a particular way, how they may have to be medicated, how the school says this or the school says that. When you think that over and over and over, you're creating a pattern. It's not a very harmonious pattern, and you're creating that, and you're not seeing the gift of the person that's there. You're not seeing the gift of the situation that's there. You're not even asking, what's the gift here? That's a phenomenal tool. What is the gift in this situation? What is right about this? What is right about me? What is right about this person? Who is this amazing person that's in front of me? If I didn't see through the lenses of all the stories that I've been telling, and all the things that have been told to me about this person, and all the problems and all the difficulties and all the stress, and he's got problems that, he must be medicated for. And who knows, maybe he does require to be medicated, but only when you really, really tap in what's going to work for you. I mean, when we look not at what's there, but through the filter of all those thoughts, all those points of view, all those judgments, we're actually not seeing the gift of the being that's with us. I posted on my Facebook page a conversation with a psychiatrist, I guess, Dr. Edith Eger. And it was a conversation with Lewis Howes about her new book, The Gift, which I'm just getting a copy of on my Kindle because I'm excited about it. But she spoke about, doing a session. She's a therapist after all, and she was doing a session for one of these followers of David Koresh in Texas, who hates everybody that's not exactly like him. And here she is, Jewish. She is one of the people that he specifically says he'd go after and kill, the people that he hates, just blind hatred. And she began, rather than defending who she was or saying this is right or this is wrong or you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be saying this is terrible. There was no judgment in her world. You shouldn't be behaving like this. You shouldn't be lashing out. You shouldn't be angry. You shouldn't be. No, she didn't say that. She actually said, I was just willing to be there and listen and see the him that's not been seen or noticed or received ever. And I had a couple of sessions today, and the common theme in those sessions was that so many of us interpret the world and interpret the way the world is with us as a personal affront, as a personal thing. And I really love this t-shirt because it says, find the joy in the journey. And the journey might have a lot of fucking bumps, It might even toss you to the moon and back. You may step in a puddle or, in a bunch of lava and singe yourself or whatever the case is. And who knows, you might fall off the edge of the planet and come back another lifetime or so, whatever. The whole point is life is not meant to be just like this. Life has its ups and downs. It's like this contact sport or this dance. Sometimes we step on one another's toes. Not everybody is such an elegant dancer. But when you begin to be willing, and this is the key, to be willing to see the gift in someone, to see the gift in the experience, to see the gift of the situation. Now, thank you for writing what you wrote, Marianela. Everyone is different, and only you know. Only you know what's going to work for you. And sometimes kids may require to be medicated. If we didn't make the medication the devil, we could see what is it that my kid and his body really require. Maybe they require to know that they're more aware, that their spidey sense is probably so highly tuned that they're picking up on so much stuff. Just look at any of the adults and their Facebook pages and their Facebook feeds and all that they're in, and looking at the news and looking at the poll results and whatever else. We're more aware than we realized. And we've over-medicated or over-analyzed ourselves tremendously based on just how aware we are. But then, and this is really interesting, we lose the gift and the presence of what is, whether, a person or a situation, and we hold on to a story. We grab onto that invention of this is a problem and I have to deal with it. And we lose sight of what's beneath it. And my invitation to you is to look what's really going on. Not when someone reached out about a kid who was having a lot of ups and downs, and I know about a lot of ups and downs because I'd had plenty of them in my life, being bipolar, or what's going on with that? How's that situation working? What's the benefit there? What's the value for the kid, for the family? What is going on there? What's deeper here? A lot of times when you begin to see the depth, and I highly recommend that Edith Eger interview, it was so beautiful. There is a meltiness that's available when you're not doing that, aligning and agreeing and resisting and reacting like we were saying before, but you're willing to see beyond any of those fixed points of view, beyond any of those stories. You begin to see something deeper, far, far deeper. You can begin to see the beauty and the wonder in that beginning moment of choice that person said, oh, this is going to create a greater possibility for me. This is going to defend me, or this is going to be the most practical way for me to cope with life. For me, one of the most practical ways of recognizing anything really is that we live in a world of thought. In Access, we call it our point of view creates our reality. So we have a thought, we hold on to a thought. It's not really, perceiving or it's not knowing, it's thinking. But it's not just the thinking, it's this. We literally create the world of our experience from the perspective that we look at the world. So from the lenses that we put on, nothing that doesn't match those lenses, those colors, or those filters that we've put on can actually show up. So we think that the world is according to whatever thoughts, feelings, emotions, anything else we have. Those are much more limited than, like we said before, waxed on it, poetic for a while, for like 20 minutes. We are energy, space, and consciousness, not thoughts, feelings, and emotions. That's a finite expression rather than the breadth of the space and the possibilities. And every time we go into thoughts, feelings, and emotions, we're actually contracting our world just a wee bit more. But the way that we look at the world is based on those points of view. Our point of view creates our reality, creates our experience of reality. So if we have a point of view that something's dangerous, guess what? I remember this lady that worked in the same building with me for a bit. And she said, I don't know what it is, but I'm always getting mugged. She had a point of view. She's always getting mugged. I had a point of view that I get thrown off horses, or that I'm terrified to be on a horse. Well, if I have a point of view that I'm going to fall off the damn horse, or I'm going to get thrown off the damn horse, what do you think's going to happen? Off the horse I'd go, right? It's our points of view, and we don't realize we have those points of view. Most of the things that people talk about, okay, let's change our reality around relationships, around money, around this, around the other. Really, All you have to do is recognize that you're living in a world that you've created based on your thinking. Thoughts to me are like clouds in the sky, and I'm pointing at the sky because earlier it was clear, clear, just a few little white clouds, and now it's glorious. And I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but I just want to show it to you because it's just so beautiful. I don't know if you can see, but it is maybe if I point this way. No, can't really see it, but there are layers and layers and layers of clouds, and thick, like you see no sky there, right? You see nothing other than the clouds, but do you trust that the sky's still there? Do you trust that the infinite being is still there? Or are you just confusing yourself, misidentifying and misapplying yourself as the contraction of, no, I'm just this thought, or I'm just this cloud, or I'm just this quote unquote problem, rather than I am the infinite space, energy, and consciousness that an infinite being truly is. It's a huge difference, and a huge, that difference is the way that you can be in the world in a totally different way. The world no longer happens to you. You ooze through the world in a different way. Some people were asking me, they reached out about melting, as we speak a lot in Access about letting go of the solidity of these points of view. And what is that? It's being willing to see the possibility that's beneath everything, being willing to see the beauty in everything. But you can't do that when you have a point of view that it has to look a particular way. Whenever you have these not so great expectations of how things have to be, you lose the possibility. You lose the interaction from the universe and how the universe would like to interact with you if you're willing to ask for something that's different. So we tend to go to the problem. The school tells me that I have to blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's just one point of view. I'm not saying don't listen. I'm saying know that you know and tap into what you know. And if you didn't have the point of view that something is a difficulty or that something is a problem or that something has to be fixed, notice how much fight and how much aligning and agreeing or resisting and reacting goes into that rather than spaciousness. So what space of possibilities could you open up in your life? What space of being can you be? The moment you're willing to be space rather than contraction of a point of view, everything begins to desolidify around you. Now, I'm not saying that I don't go into, hard and fast righteous battles of this is the way it is. But what if it's not? What if I have a choice in every 10 seconds? What if I could choose something different? And yeah, I might have battled for something in one moment or defended my young cub from something, right? As a mom or as a person. And I can allow him to make his own choices and I can empower him to know that he knows in the case of my young cub. But for the people who reached out to me, funnily enough, they were all with sons, not with daughters. But, again, with that, what is it that they know? Because believe me, they know. They may not have words, cognitive words to define, oh yeah, I chose to lash out and behave this way because I could perceive the tenseness at home. Or because, I'm going crazy with all of these people that are just in angst with politics and with COVID and with, everything else that's going on in the world. No, they're aware. And when we can honor that we're aware and that they're aware, and we actually take the time to be present with them, not to force them into anything, not to fix them or fix anybody else, not to fix ourselves either. There's nothing to be fixed. There's just something to be received. What if we could begin to receive the gift of every situation and the gift that we be and the gift that they are? They are not the points of view we have of them. They're magic and miracles walking. We are not the points of view that we have about ourselves. We are magic and miracles walking. Is energy, space, and consciousness, aka emet, or the truth of us, energia, merchav, and toda'ah, cannot be contained or confined into this is right or this is wrong. Those are judgments. And every judgment, every point of view like that is a contraction, is a lie. It's not real. And we keep putting so much force and so much energy and try so hard to resolve things that if we allowed them, if we had allowance for them, that they can begin to shift and change and show the beauty that's available beneath them. What if life is not for fighting? What if life is not for surviving? I know it's not necessarily cognitively correct to say, what if life is for melting? But what if that willingness to look for the lightness and willingness to look for the joy and willingness to look for the wonder is something that can change everything? And for me personally, the tools of access consciousness opened up my world. And I didn't stay with just using the tools. I am evolving into being more of the tools. And there's a difference in that, because there's a lot of people will go to a bars class, will go to a foundation class, or will watch videos online and will say, well, what's the correct tool for such and such? What do you know? What if it isn't about the correct tool or the correct clearing, but the willingness to know that there's something beyond the point of view that you may be holding on to at the moment? What if it's that willingness to recognize that there is beauty and wonder and possibilities available, that you can choose something entirely different? What if everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be? This is one of my all-time favorite melty tools. But it isn't just a tool, it is an awareness that there is something beyond what I have decided is. And any decision or judgment or conclusion or computation that I've ever taken, or any definition that I've held on to, that, oh, I am such and such, or I am so and so, or this is a problem, or this has to be resolved, or this is such and such a diagnosis, or whatever the case is, how many meanings did I add to that? What have I made it mean, and literally been mean to myself or the other person there in the process of making those things so meaningful? What's there beyond any decision that I may have held on to, beyond any of those really rigid points of view? What's there before that form of it has to look a particular way? So everything is the opposite of what it appears to be. There's so much more to it than meets the eye. And not only everything, but I'd say everyone. We have such a limited perspective on even the closest people to us. We almost try to take them and fit them into our slot, into our special request. Husbands should behave like this. Wives should behave like that. Children should behave in such and such a way. Teachers should behave in such a way. And we're trying to fit people into categories. But what if we're not fittable? What if we're not confinable? What if there is so much more to us than meets the eye? So what if everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be? This is one of the most amazing questions that I love to ask. Who am I today? And what grand and glorious adventures can I have? More than that, who am I? I mean, I know there's lots of stories about me, about my experiences, my history, my this, my that, my the other. But those are stories. I'm not any of those stories. I'm so much more if I just begin to give myself that chance. And same with each one of our kids, in the case of the moms who'd reached out to me. when we're willing to be the parents that allow our kids to be empowered and to discover what it is that they know, what a gift and contribution we be out in the world. It's truly a celebration of being, our being, their being, the world, and receiving it in a totally different way. A lot of times, if we take all those preconceived notions of what is a problem out of the way, we begin to find the lightness in it. What if it didn't look the way we thought? What if it isn't what we've defined it as? What if there's so much more available for each of us? And remember, truth, whatever is true for you, will always make you feel lighter and more expanded. That's the truth for you. And a lie, and a lot of what we're functioning from, a lot of what we're perceiving in this reality is a lie. If you feel contracted, heavy, stressed out, what are you trying to make real that isn't? What are you like forcing, contorting yourself to make it come into existence, to force it one way or another? Sure, you can do things with, blood, sweat, and tears, but it is not the truth of you. The truth of you is lightness and ease. And it seems to be the thing that we're most allergic to is ease. And the mantra of access, I know I have a banner made for it. Let's see, I just have to find it. Here we go. Is all of life comes to us with ease, joy, and glory. Double dog dare you to say that like 100 times a day. All of life comes to us with ease, joy, and glory. In other words, we're not resisting life or living. We are not resisting what is. We're actually willing to receive it. And if you get that, you begin to see that is one of your capacities as an infinite being. Perceive, know, be, and receive. Not resist, receive. So what can you receive now that you've never been willing to receive before? What gift are you that you've not been willing to see? What gift is your kid to you that you've not been willing to see before? And what if, even with their choices, that they may not recognize that they have a choice about them? They could choose something different. So many of us function from the contraction of, if I hold on to this thought, or if I hold on to this definition, or if I hold on to this story, it's kind of like, the clouds in the sky. If I just try to hold on to that cloud, can you ever? Or does it constantly shift and change? Would you be willing to honor the movement? Wow, that's so cool. Don't know why I just teared up, but when you honor the gift of the moving, the fluidity, you're not going to be trying to stick and solidify and freeze something into right here and right now and only this, and I must hold on to it, and I have to, oh my goodness, control it, because if I don't control it, the world would end. Bullshit. If you are willing to be so out of control, one of my favorite clearings is what energy, space, consciousness, choice, magic, miracle, mystery, impossibility can you and your body be to be out of control, out of definition, out of form, out of structure, out of linearities, out of concentricities, out of your mind, really? Because what is that? It's a computational system with ease, joy, and glory for all eternity. I mean, just out of the thinking about it. Remember, all that thinking is stinking. What's there beneath the thinking? Without the thinking, what can you find there? What do you know? And so if you're willing to see what you know, holy moly, holy moly, you can see so much. What do you know? What does your kid know? What is it that's true for you that's going to be that space of lightness? And if you stopped resisting anything that didn't look like it doesn't match up with what you thought, what could be available to you? And it's funny because we're really big as human beings on this planet. We're really big micromanagers. We seem to have this delusional thinking that we rule the world and we do everything. Well, you know what? If the planet got tired of us enough, it would give a big shake. There's like 4 volcanoes around me. It's really easy for them to erupt or to have a massive earthquake. And yeah, there'd be a lot of changing going on. There are typhoons, there are, sinkholes, there are all sorts of things that can happen. Hurricanes galore, you name it. If the planet would like us off, it could very, very easily. And we think that we're the grand and glorious, rulers of everything, the micromanagers of the universe. Well, the universe consciousness doesn't get micromanaged. It's available and it contributes when we ask. It never shows up the way we think. Again, back to those thoughts and all those controls. The less control you're willing to, the more control you're willing to be, which is actually knowing that something will happen when you ask, and the less controlling or micromanaging that you're willing to be, the more trusting your ask and trusting the universe and knowing that there's a world of possibilities that's just waiting for your ask, waiting to contribute. But so many of us human beings, I can do it all by myself. Yeah, good luck with that. What if we are not alone? We've never been alone. It is not possible to be alone, even if you go lock yourself up in a cave. And you know what? Now I get it. I studied archaeology when I was in university. I was generally very depressed in university. That's when I was diagnosed and medicated and all that stuff. And I thought that the best thing ever was to be alone, because I wouldn't be perceiving all this stuff. I mean, I felt much more calm out in nature. That's why I love being out on the balcony. Yes, I can perceive other people's, whatever, but it's not as when I'm in really, more closed, confined kind of places. So, there is this huge gift in recognizing that you're not alone. You can be at the effect of the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions, and everything that you perceive. Or you can recognize, wow, I'm getting information. Simply information. I can return it back wherever it came from. Or I can just be aware that I am aware. I am seeing these clouds passing by. I am not those clouds. I'm space, energy, space, and consciousness, the infinite being behind and beyond them. Okay? When we're willing to be the space that we truly be, when we ask to experience life and living with and as space, there's no contraction of lives. There's such an ease in it, such a meltiness in it, such a beauty in it. What space of possibilities can you open? What space of possibilities could you ask for? What space of being are you that would melt all the solidity of the lies around you? What space of gratitude, of wonder, of knowing, of trust, of confidence, knowing that you know, can you be? And can you show your kids that you are and that they can be for themselves as well? That will change the world around you just merely by you walking into a room. The energy changes. You move through the world and it becomes more fluid, more melty, more soft, more open, less fight, more joy, more flow, more fluidity, more easefulness. So that's my first invitation. And one of the ladies that had reached out yesterday specifically asked me, let me see if I have a banner up for that. She asked me, well, if I would like to delve more into the tools of access consciousness, what should I read? What should I do? What should I be? Now, there are so many things. Just go look on the Access Consciousness website and you'll find so many different things. One of my favorites to begin with is the Being You, Changing the World book. I'm partial to that book because that book is a conversation. It literally asks you. Now, that can piss some people off royally, and they'll say, I don't like a book that asks me questions. I'd like a book that gives me all the answers. Ah, well, what if all possibilities lie in actually asking and in interacting and asking what it is that we know? So that book is phenomenal. And it seems to change every time I read it. It's almost an entirely different book. Like the basic kind of outline or the surface level is the same, of course. But when I'm willing to really receive it and explore it in a different way, there's something in it that shifts and changes. It's an amazing book, and I love it. Another book that I absolutely love is Susanna Mittermeier's Pragmatic Psychology. I think in Spanish it's called Herramientas Prácticas para Ser Locamente Feliz. And another one that I love is Divorceless Relationships. Now, there are other phenomenal books out there that are fantastic. In access, out of access. Those are the first three that I'm going to mention. Plus, I haven't ordered it yet, but I'm going to order today Edith Eger's book on the gift. And she has another one called The Choice that I'm really curious about. And what would that change? Oh, and there's another one that I absolutely love. I've read it and played with it. It's on my YouTube channel. You're welcome to explore. It's called the How to Become Money Workbook by Gary Douglas. He was channeling a being named Raz at that time. And the brilliance of that book is to have you look beyond those points of view that you thought were you. And yes, I know it's called the How to Become Money Workbook, but it isn't only about money. It is about how you're willing to show up and how you're willing to function and how you're willing to be in the world. And it's kind of like a guide to being. Although the thing is, just keep remembering that it isn't about being like, oh my God, I got this. You know, I be me. Woohoo. You know, no, that's bullshit. You're becoming. And the more you open up a space of being, the more you get that there's more to get. The more I know, the more I wonder, the more I ask, the more I realize how much more is there beyond the surface that I had gotten at before. Like, I've been playing with the Access Consciousness tools since 2011. Okay? And you can ask people who've ever taken a foundation class with me. There is something that I'm getting now anyway, in any of these live conversations when they hop on. There's something that's deeper, that's richer, that's more alive, that's showing up now. So stay with it, play with it, enjoy it, explore, experiment, keep asking and being and inviting and melting and being the space that allows things to shift and move and change. Solidity doesn't stay solid when it's around space, because the space pervades everything. And when you're willing to be space rather than contraction of some lie or some point of view, then everything is meltable and shiftable around you. And these tools, they kind of become you, or you become them, or there's some sort of becoming that's going on there. They're who you be walking through the planet. And what a phenomenal invitation, not just for your loved ones, for anyone around you like that, but for anyone who crosses your path. Because people perceive the space, but people perceive when there's no judgment. People perceive the difference and the gift that you be when you're willing to be you and be an allowance of you and of everyone else. It's just a different kind of space. And anyway, I was getting those smoke signals, little signs from the side that we have to go shopping for some school materials for tomorrow. So I'm going to head out, but I just wanted to thank you for being here. If this touched you or this contributed to you in any way, do please share it. I generally don't share things very much. But if this has been a contribution and you think it may contribute to someone else, that would be wonderful. And I thank you for being here with me live or watching it later, and I'm happy for any contribution that I could be. Thank you. Bye.